Every year since 2019, we've been doing this survey, and I'm just going to share with you the results from this year. Now, of course, if you complete the survey, you get all this for free as soon as I wrap up the survey. So for those that didn't, this year we had 168 responses versus back in 2022 we had 120, and there was some really interesting discussion, because I do try to leave an open form, so don't force just a single answer. People can add their comments, criticisms. So we're going to go through the 2023. This is just a little bit of background in terms of, we started it 2019, and that was based off just, people were like, talking about the different projects and what they liked, what they didn't like, and were asking me, well, what do other people think? So I was like, look, it's nice being a middleman, but it was an unpaid role. So it's like, okay, let's just get it all out there, and with some numbers around it rather than just my opinion, and how people feel about Asterix versus Free Switch versus Oiseau, and all the other projects. So we've done it annually, and the surveys are public, so you can see the questions we were asking, the results. We do make public after about 4 or 5 months after I've completed them and released them to the people that contributed. Now, this year, our focus was around the cybersecurity regulations, on using and contributing to the RTC open source projects, representation, which it doesn't matter how big or small you are, we are underrepresented, and as I keep saying at every TAD hack, the teams that win are the most diverse teams. Okay, it's not just a line of guys, basically doing a hack. It's when you actually have somebody that can do the PowerPoint, somebody that can think from a product perspective and really explain the problem, solution, fit. And then, of course, you need the hardcore coders that can quickly hack something together and make a really great just demonstration of a bit of the solution creates the most powerful hacks. We also included questions about the enterprise desktop phone, and that actually introduced, we did get some criticism on that one, and that was good, because I think some people are saying, look, it's never going away. As long as you've got humans there, you're going to need, like a room phone, there will be a need for something that somebody can pick up and answer. So that was quite interesting. And then we asked quite a few questions around CPaaS evolution and, of course, WebRTC. So I'm not going to go into depth here because we're on a Friday afternoon. It's going to be a little tiring, if I go through in depth. So I'm going to try and sort of just pick up on some of the interesting pieces of the survey. I am, for 2024, going to again focus in on the different projects, because I think it's time that we just, because I'll be frank, Asterix has been through hell and continues to go through hell. I'd like to get a temperature read on what's happening there in the community. Oiseau, had a little bit of a reorganization, a refocusing, but the community, I've seen more activity there. So again, I think it's a good time to talk around the different projects. Now, some of them are mature, RTP engine, everybody loves, and will continue. But I think around some of the bigger projects, definitely there's interest. So where are people responding from? Well, I have the results from 21, 22, 23. And you can see it's me. That hurt. I'm going over. Now I know why everybody's been going over here. I'm pointing at this screen now. Okay, it all makes sense. I was like, why are they going away from the camera? Well, they get deaf on that side. So anyway, back in 21, definitely Europe was dominant. Then we got more sort of equity in between US, North America, and then a bit more European bias for 2022. But India keeps being number 3 place, and then it varies. Because I'll be honest with you, we've got a core of about 50, 60 people that respond every year, and then beyond that, we tend to get, it varies. It's Don't ask me why it varies so much. It's just, we get popped up in one, sort of community group, and then they respond, while in another, the person doesn't bother. So it varies. Then, what regions are your customers based? Well, again, 2021, Europe dominated. Then North America edged out a little bit, and we've seen more of a focus on North America. And it's simply because in the programmable comms market, it's over 50%. So, it doesn't matter where you're based, it's where do you want to basically earn high margin revenue. And it means North America has to be part of your plans. Business categories, again, it shifts. Consultancy tends to be a significant contributor. Then what's interesting is, 2022, 2023, we saw the UCAS, CCAS, CPAS got more involved. And then some years we get better telco ISP response, other years it's less. But this, you can see the general shape is similar, but the mix does vary. So you do need to take that into account when you're looking at these results. Don't take them as definitive, just take them as a general indication. And business size, again, you can see sort of shifts. So less than 10, and then this one surprised me. Sort of being in the sort of medium-sized businesses. Then 2022, again, the sort of medium-sized businesses was, that again surprised me. This year was more, it's small consultancies, smaller CPAS, I think, were driving a lot of those numbers. But we still get, as you can see, a sizable number of medium to large responses. So on to the Cyber Resilience Act, and we've got the EU one and the US version. As you can see, most people are unaware, or even in Europe are sort of aware but not exactly sure. Most of that uncertainty stems around the timeline, whether it really applies. There was, people were like, yeah, it's only if you've got basically devices on the customer's prem. And yes and no, because if you're managing devices on the customer's prem, the Cyber Resilience Act could impact you as well. So, but again, the communication hasn't been great. Generally, people are assuming that doesn't necessarily apply to me, but a lot of uncertainty. You can see, I'm not sure. Nah, it's going to be little or no impact. It sort of reminds me a little bit with some of the privacy regulations before they became law. It was like, well, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Then, oh shit, it's law. Damn. Okay. But then what was interesting, there was should we say, enacting the regulations. It wasn't, unless you were a big, headline-grabbing organisation, most of the industry was sort of, yeah, okay, just don't be naughty next year. So I think people are sort of anticipating a soft implementation. So they'll see some warning signs about their need to be in compliance. And of course it varies country to country, because I know some countries have a far harder time than others. And what I asked, and I thought this was interesting, we were asking your expectations. As you can see here, delay or revision were considered the most likely scenario. And also, it was interesting, some pointed to open source being part of the problem as well as a likely solution. So, having sort of build of materials automation. So we have seen some movement over this year around those initiatives. And then this is the fun one. I know it's very detailed, but we're asking around the different projects, whether you can, how many people use that project that's blue, do you contribute documents, contribute code, contribute cash. So as you'd imagine, Asterisk, Camailio, OpenSIPs, Homer, FreeSwitch, lots of activity there. RTP engine, I mean, it's a love project, but it's relatively mature. This I thought was really good. So is he gone? Dave's gone. Yeah. Oh well. But you can see, quite significant activity there. That surprised me. I think again, it's partially self-selective because of the categories I focus on. When I'm running the survey, I think that sort of self-selects a little bit. Janus, as you can see, lots of activity there. Jitsi, well, yeah, they've got bigger company behind them. And of course, you've got Jitsi Meat there. Then the list goes on and on. Well, so this is the one that I thought was quite interesting because they did have a dip maybe 2 years, 3 years ago in terms of people using the project. There seems to be a lot more activity driving that. And again, a lot of these are, well understood, mature projects. Oh, that's relatively new, but again, it's just, yeah, go for it.
What's the number represent?
That's the number of people. So 81 people use asterisks out of, I can't remember, 100 and something other, people who answer the question. So about half, less than, people are using asterisks, and then that's 10 people said they were contributing cash, 11 contributing code, 9 contributing docs, which contributing code surprised me for asterisks, because they're not the most welcoming for adding to their code base. Well, others have a far stronger history in taking contributions from their community. We did ask some questions around representation, and these 4 I put here actually came from a group of women within an organisation. So I'd sort of ping because I'll be honest, when I run TADHack Open in March. We try to get equity between male-female representation. The way you do that is you focus not on letting the guys know, but you specifically have to target groups focused on female involvement in technology, and get them involved, getting their communities aware of what we're doing. So I did that with ensuring we got answers here. So this is from women only. Misguided attitudes must be stopped by the leadership. Project must mentor. So for example, and this was from South Africa, partner with Girl Code. So Girl Code focuses on, not exclusively, nothing's exclusive here. You can be part of Girl Code if you want, anybody can. But it focuses on female representation. Projects tend to be self-selecting, so they select people that are like the people in the project currently. And of course, that means, tending to be male and be genuine. This isn't a PR attempt. This needs to be a sustained, long-term commitment to female representation. And of course, the dominant one was big open source companies need to make this a strategic objective. So the Red Hats, etc., that make billions on using open source, they need to have initiatives to pump the funnel. The small organizations is hard. You're just dealing with putting food on the table rather than trying to improve representation. But I've seen firsthand the impact of STEM collaboration. Again, we have a big financial fintech company in my hometown, and they do what's called fintech techies, Fin Future Techies. So it's a fintech company that just invites people in for a 3-month program. All technology, programming, using a whole host of interesting, and it's middle school. So it's like that 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and showing, there really are female engineers that work for fintech companies, just seeing the existence of that, but helping them in using the different technologies, understanding the different roles that exist within technology industries. So, I just, to highlight, it's small steps. The big guys have to focus. I know, Maria, you're unusual. I think we have 2 women in the audience. Yes. That's normal. You know, it's like high tech, and then telecom's high tech. You really are, you know, it's getting pretty, and then, you know, not in a big, you know, corporations, but small companies, it's like, how can we make the selection criteria for women so difficult? And then, looking at what would be needed, you know, because some, you know, we're too small, we don't have the time, we're just trying to survive here. You know, I agree with the principles, but, you know, basic food, shelter comes first. You know, this one, I was surprised so many people, you know, it's free-form input, but what they were saying is, it's difficult, we try, but it's difficult. In different forms they said that, but, you know, I think, you know, we got to recognise that it does need leadership, it needs to come from the larger organisations. But we all can do our piece. Right, onto the desktop phone. So when you're building open source platform, is support of desk phones relevant? Majority is yes. And then in your opinion, what are the reasons why? And install base, form factor, use cases, the shared phone. And that is important. I mean, for example, a lot of fast food chains, they had one phone. And it's at the front there. So, you know, in restaurants, you know, they'll have a phone at the front, that phone represents the restaurant. And it's a shared phone. You know, basically, if you're a server, if you're bussing, doesn't matter. If the phone's ringing and it's not being answered, you pick it up and you answer it. It's as simple as that. So shared phone will remain a important tool. And let's face it, it's been designed over 100 years now to basically be an easy thing to use. It requires no skill. And, you know, it works with this organic matter called humans that is the, you know, user of it. Now, we asked about, will it disappear? Now, this got negative reaction. It's like, that's a biased question, you know? So you can see, generally, people think no. And we got a lot of advice on how to frame it. We did ask about how many desktop phones you're managing. So as you can see, big range in terms of you know, how many phones are being managed by the different people answering. So it's good representation. But the advice we got is, guys, stop asking about when it's going to disappear and ask about when it's going to become, you know, as a percentage, you know, when it dips below, say, 20% of employees. But, you know, there are a contingent of people who do think, yes, it's going to disappear. So the consensus of everybody was by 2040 was when peak disappearance. But I think the general conclusion, you know, is, guys, for, you know, shared phone applications, it's not going to go away anytime soon. And different people have different preferences. Then we asked, because it is the fashion, but it does work, what are your models are you playing with? So of course, ChatGPT, but everybody's playing around here with the open source models, because, you know, the point that was raised is the costs and the resources required when you're doing something that's large and heavyweight. But these are moving fast, and there was a Google paper I published. I didn't publish. I linked to with this survey where Google was basically saying, guys, open source is going to beat us. We've got there's ChatGPT. We have the edge at the moment, but we're big, and we've got to build businesses around this. And all these small projects that are lowering the cost of operating a LLM and making it so you can run it on a desktop. You're not having to basically burn oil in the data center. So they see it as those projects are really where the industry will move to. And that's also back to the political issue I raised earlier. Why we're seeing billionaires go, oh, it's dangerous. End of the human race. It's software. You know, we had the millennium bug, basically the clock's turned from 1999 to 2000, everything's going to stop, planes are going to fall out of the sky. Didn't happen, and Rob was very clear, it's spanner control. Just don't be stupid in giving your LLM basically access to your bank account. Shit's going to happen, spanner control. So they're saying, of course, regulation so that they can basically make it difficult for the small guys, for open source, to innovate, to do cool stuff, to basically change the rules so that they can own the tech and sit there fat and happy. And we've got a lot of work we did looking at voice, messaging, identity, CPaaS. So this one was looking at commercial voice CPaaS versus open source CPaaS, and I do put the average in, so it's 2.9. So it's because strongly disagree. We had quite a few people going, no, open source is better. So that helped sort of bias it down. But you can see the market is sort of split there. And then open source voice CPaaS beats commercial because I control my roadmap. So definitely you can see there's a push there. And everybody has mentioned that through the different presentations. Then we've got, I can customize in hours and days rather than months and years. History of VOS always outcompetes commercial software. Solaris versus Linux. I use Solaris, what a pain. I only need to, and this is a very important point. When you're buying your Oracle package, they basically throw in everything in the kitchen sink. I just remember, with the Oracle cloud communicate. No, it's Oracle Communications Application Server, and just standing that up on AWS, it was just like days of effort. While a lot of the open source projects were, well, here it is, download it, oh, it's running on my laptop, and you're done. It was just a completely different experience. Then also, SaaS enables you to, and you saw that when Dave was talking about it, and also Rob, enables you to just sign up for like really simple, easy services and just get shit up and running. You can use whatever speech to text or speech to text engine you prefer. Then, patents are no longer an issue. Well, they remain an issue to the lawyers in large corporations, but for most businesses today, this is a tertiary concern. Again, poor old Dialogic, they had their day, they're surviving, but it's basically in that legacy niche space. Also, when you're buying basically commercial, focuses on highly bundled complex solutions, while a lot of cases, and in fact that's a good point that Dave made during his keynote, is one of the reasons why some of the CX AI companies, so he mentioned Cognigy, the reason they're using him is it's so lightweight to get a voice gateway. They're not using all the features, all the capabilities he's got on his project, they're just enabling them to put a voice gateway on the front. And also scale. That's it always seems to be somebody who's never used open source keeps worrying about it doesn't scale. And then just quick, I don't want to spend too long actually, I should keep this down. Voice is getting a lot more commoditized, it's hidden away in software, and yes and no, this is market dependent. This old boys club of telco voice has been democratized. I still, depending on the market, see there being, you saw in all the ratings of your phone numbers, there's these entities that are rating your number based on a whole host of strange, weird, indecipherable, unstated methods. And all of a sudden you can find, calls aren't being answered at the same rate it was the week before or the month before, and you've got to then dig in. And there was a post by FCC contribution from the CEO of Numerical, and she was laying flat the con that was happening with these rating improvement engines, remediation engines, that will protect the rating, the reputation on your numbers. We just need 40,000 a month, okay? And it's something that shouldn't exist. And then what's going to happen between free open source software and commercial voice, market splits between big brands and free and open source software. I think that's quite right, because what you'll get are the telcos, large enterprises, going to play it safe, while everybody else just can't afford to pay those ridiculous prices, and will use solutions based on free and open source software. It's like we see in the enterprise. It's a slow march for the enterprises to realize that they've been overpaying IBM. It happens at the point, well, they're still overpaying for Oracle, let's face it. So with large enterprises, there's still, some of them are trapped in there. On messaging, I'll just skip over this, but this was basically one of the things I thought was quite interesting on the messaging CPaaS. I'm just trying to get to it. Yeah, that's not the one. Yeah, so this is really sort of what I thought was nice, was reinforcing a lot of the points that we'd raised before. Yeah, so this is just, yes, here we go. So what's going to happen over the next 3 years? So commoditization, consolidation, and race to zero economics. It's always fun when you do these surveys, because it's at the start, earlier on in the year, and then when you look at where we are at the end of the year, you realise, like here you got people already putting down that carriers will take a windfall tax on A2P SMS, and we've seen that in a number of markets, not just in North America, but in Asia and the Middle East. And then we went on to IP messaging. For the sake of time, I'm just going to skip over. I'd say again, market dependent. So, but generally, if we're in China, if we're in Japan, in the Middle East, it's WhatsApp, Line, WeChat. That has become, for a lot of brands, the dominant communication mechanism with their customers. And again, just general, where's it going to go? And just increasing fragmentation, because we've all got our preferred platforms. Some people, might prefer Signal as their platform. That's their choice. And, and it is popular in some markets. For example, I don't know whether you see Signal a lot in the Middle East, but, I'm just trying to think. For some of the people, WhatsApp, of course, dominant. But there's a segment, especially if they're in crypto, that I've used Signal with. So I think it's segment by segment. But again, fragmentation, strong demand in Europe and South America. So particularly, for example, Amit from Telecom's Exchange. For him, this is a significant shift he's seen in the market. He's with Telecom, out in Asia. He also does a fair bit throughout the Middle East, and he's seeing a strong march towards IP messaging. SMS is still there because he does the wholesale piece, but for quite a few CPaaS, or I should say, programmable comms companies, I know in the region, for them, it's almost, they'll use the words legacy SMS, because they see it as a slow growth, not necessarily a no growth, but a very slow growth piece of the market. Fraud and identity, we heard from Guillaume today. It's complex, and it's all about the customer's needs. And you saw how he divides it up, very much focused in the customer journey from sign up to sign on. So it's very web-centric, SaaS-centric for that segment, okay? But there are a lot of companies in this space solving it in a number of ways. If you're in, if you're in banking, you've already got ratings companies that you're using, and they have a whole range of solutions where they aggregate a whole range of data. Again, operators go, well, we have the device. Well, that device is connected IP most of the time. So having just knowledge of the IP addresses and the device IDs from an IP side can be far cheaper and just as effective. So when we're looking at this, telco does not have that significant a moat around its market. And then what's going to happen? Market's going to remain turbulent, going to remain fragmented. So this, well, you can see, passkeys are just so easy. I don't know if, well, raise your hands. How many people use passkeys as their dominant way of entering passwords? No. Yeah. Because it's just so easy. It's on your phone, on your laptop. You're going to sign on. Can we use your username password? You do the biometric, and that's it. And I don't have to remember, and it's what I like is on the operating system, you click username, password, and it would automatically offer it. I always felt that was a little, yeah. So I click on it. You just want us to fill it in for you. Yes, it's me. So it's exactly as Dan said. It's not 2FA. It's just a better password. It's as simple as that. You're still using your password, but there's just a step before you get there. And then dashboards, again, this is, for Twilio, this is how they differentiate, how they lock in their customers. It's just a great dashboard because you're running your business on there. And all the data that they expose, all the insights they expose, really do lock in customers. And then we asked a whole host of questions around all the other bits that we deal with omni-channel management, customer data management, conferencing collaboration, channel partner management, developer tools, IoT. And it was great just seeing all the open source projects that are there. However, there were no suggestions for how you deal with regulatory compliance. So there's still some services business left there. Then we went on to WebRTC. So what do you consider to be the biggest challenge when implementing a WebRTC-based app? No surprise, no surprise, no surprise. And the rest, I think it's... Oh, this was fun, yeah. This was, people get into these habits of using Zoom or Teams. I would say that I have to work with, and I hate having to say this, I have to work with Microsoft-focused organizations. And they use Teams. The most god-awful, hateful to anybody outside of the organization collaboration tool you could possibly use. But what I've noticed is rather than, let me use it, but Zoom is so much easier for everybody. Yeah, I know, but IT. They are now rebelling, people in those Microsoft organizations, because Microsoft's gone through a whole host of downsizing. The support, especially in Asia, for Teams, people are going, this is now demonstrably crap. I'd really like to get off it. So it's been nice. People are now finally accepting and happy to take a Zoom call rather than forcing me onto Teams. So the market is changing. We then asked, how likely you are to upgrade. So from extremely to extremely likely. So you can see there's a lot of focus on upgrading to WebRTC. And then this one I was a little surprised by in terms of what's the largest video call, and largest was 26 to 100. I don't know how many people are on, within a year, how many video calls, or is anybody on a video call that has 26 to 100 participants?
Webinar maybe?
No, this was video call. I know, yeah, because I think this was where it got into webinar maybe, but we positively said it's a video call. So
I've been on video calls with about 50 people.
Okay.
It's the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
And they're horrible.
Yes,
They're awful.
that's, yeah.
Yeah.
And then which open source media server do you use in the past year? So Janus, Jitsi, yeah, whatever. And of course, you know, FreeSwitch Asterisk. I mean, that gets lumped in there simply because, you know, they have the capabilities there. Our lower level APIs of interest, you know, web codecs, web transport, that offers more control, split market. So there's no sort of clear market, you know, drive there. And do you have more or less or the same amount of real-time video and audio interactions as you had in the last year? And again, a mixed answer. I mean, you know, it was like, you know, 50% were more, same, and a little bit less. Because, you know, we've come out of the pandemic. So it shows that even though the pandemic's over, which we already see, because people are working, from home on Mondays and Fridays quite often, and also, you know, teams are distributed. So as a result, I think the use of video remains, although there are some organisations I work with, because I just leave the video on, because it's like you're having a video conference and it's a team you don't work with very regularly. You want to see each other, you know, because you just want the human element. But some of them it's just like blank. No video enabled, it's just an audio tool. So it is funny the culture you see around how people use video. And I'll be sharing all this you know, on the blog. And then, do you currently use any AI ML services? And it tends to be sort of, you know, audio transcription, background blur. I don't understand why people rave about background blur, because it's like you now have a halo where your ears disappear and then come back in again, and you know, maybe when it gets better. This one I think can be quite handy, especially when you've got screaming kids. And then over the next 2 years, do you expect to implement? And then here it gets a lot richer. So you can see people are doing like some of the obvious stuff, you know, to keep up with the Joneses, but then keyword detection, summary note taking, again, background noise, just to improve the quality. And you know, so a lot of these. Now, video object detection, it's quite interesting. There's a lot of corporate applications where video is like, quite a lot of the Asterisk resellers have added video because it's a simple security piece they can add on top. You place some cameras, because you know it's a managed service, enterprises are paying more, and having human detection in there, it's a very easy thing. And it's, you know, because of the work of Ring and a host of companies in this space, the algorithms are pretty sophisticated. So then you know if you've got somebody like in the 5G lab, they have a camera running in there, and they're detecting what are the objects that are coming in. So again, interesting just to see how people are planning there. And then do you use any assistants or bots? So already do. So this would surprise me. Not currently, no expectation, not currently, but expect to add. So I think it's like we're on the move towards it. But generally, you know, it's an experiment. So note-taking, concierge, call management services, meeting assistants. That's where they're looking to use the voice assistants for. But this one really did surprise me that only 15% already do. But you can see the market is moving forward now. So just quickly, just to recap. So we had 186 responses, so 168. It's the end of the day. You know, for this year, we had more European-based companies. 58% respondents had no awareness of the EU CRA regulations. The most colourful slide, also the most inspiring slide, is which projects do you use and how do you contribute? So that's going to be a focus for next year's survey, so looking down in each of the projects. So let me know what you want to learn about those projects, and I'll add those questions in. Because again, all these questions get driven by people saying, Alan, could you ask something on this? So, I mean, some of it's my ideas, but, you know, I'd say it's mostly sort of respondent-led. On representation, these are the 4 that came from a group of women, and, you know, I put them there because, you know, they apply across the board. But then when you look more broadly, you can see people are saying, come on, we really need the big guys that are working on open source to really take the lead here to help us out in priming the pump. But there's things that we can do across the board. You know, I mean, you know, TADHack is just a singleton, it's just me, but with TADHack Open in March, I do make a point of emphasizing working with groups that empower female tech to get involved and promote the work they do. And this March, we actually, which was the first for TADHack, we had 50-50 representation between men and women, which, you know, it's programmable communications. So it's like telecoms related and it's tech. And we were able to, it did take a bit of arm twisting, I'll be honest with you, but it was nice to show it can be, achieved. Desktop phone isn't going to disappear. Don't say that, it annoys too many people. Rather, let's identify a percentage where we think that, like whether it's 20%, whether it's 10% of, desktop phones versus employees. And nearly at the end there. Voice CPaaS, we're evolving to free and open source. It works. Do need to be a geeky organisation, but I would say we've got over the bump where Twilio is seen as the answer. There's now migration map, so that's one of the nice things that Jambones enables, and we are seeing more and more organisations getting off some of the closed platforms. SMS CPaaS, I think it's a great review of the current status of the market. People seem a little down on the CPaaS SMS market, so that was interesting because that was earlier this year, and those that sort of looking down on it has definitely come through. I think IP messaging is considered greater competition than in the past, and some markets are making the move faster than others. Covered that, and then fraud. It's complex. It's as simple as that. I think passkeys has to be part. Remember when Guillaume was talking about how you need this sort of blended solution for your different customers across sign up and sign in, across that sort of journey. But you cannot not have passkeys in there. And then I really like that. What are some of the open source projects for delivering a complete UCaaS, CPaaS solution? So you really can almost go soup to nuts on using open source. And then with WebRTC, browser compatibility, permission prompts still suck. I think we can all agree there. Respondents are evenly split on whether they'll upgrade their telephony infrastructure to WebRTC within the next 2 years, but that's still good. I mean, that's a significant number of customers making the move. So again, there's a lot of opportunity in WebRTC. On open source media servers, we've got, of course, FreeSwitch, Asterisk, and Jitsi are sort of all considered neck and neck with, unfortunately, Janus a little bit further back. But for the size of the project, you're doing really well. Common use case of AI, ML in WebRTC are audio transcription, background blur replacement, background noise reduction, keyword detection, and summaries note taking. The ones that generate the actions always scare me because it's like, look at the summary, and it's like 20 actions have been created. It's like, I didn't realize any actions had been created, but it's just the way it works. Anyway, and with voice bots, most people are experimenting. So that's it. Let me know what within the open source telecom software, if there's any questions you want asked around the specific projects, whether there's specific questions you want asked, and I'll get them included in next year's survey. All right, so that's it. And in this slide deck, it's got more information than you'd ever want. But I will get this published so that you can download it when I get the TAD Summit summaries complete. So that's it. We're done. Thank you. Yes, we'll take a picture. Thank you for staying on to the bitter end. What I would ask is if everybody, after you've done your round of applause, move down here so we can get a couple of group photos, okay? Thank you so much.